in New Orleans or wherever you may be. It's 4 o'clock Wednesday, so we must be Baldy and The Blonde. I'm Tom Coates. I'm here with the blonde menace, Michelle Godin.
That's me.
The menacing blonde.
I like to menace.
We should send you to L.A.
I should.
You could menace
well,
them.
I don't know, but from what I hear, it's nothing but fun.
Oh, yeah, just peaceful. Kumbaya moments.
Yeah, nothing but fun, watching cars burn, and, it's quite something. I don't know. It seems like no matter how you respond to that. Hold on, we have a little technical problem. Got it. Seems like no matter how the nation and the administration responds, it's it's just a tough situation because I think it's a setup to have something go wrong, and there's the term throughout history of something called a false flag.
Well, both sides are suggesting that.
Yes,
though.
they are. Yeah.
So who knows?
What's a false flag, Tom? For people that don't know.
Well, a false flag is when one side of a conflict instigates something against themselves to make it look like the other side was the instigator, thereby giving you reason to come back at them.
And it's such an old...
It's been around forever.
Yeah, because it comes from flying the other guy's flag on your ship to make it look like they did it, not you.
It's a tactic that's been around forever,
Yeah.
and both sides are worried that the other side will be the instigator or will do something, a false flag, to instigate it.
Yes.
So when you've got this going on and nobody is standing down, and I'm not saying that Trump should stand down, I'm just saying he's not, that who knows where this is headed, but it doesn't look real good.
I mean, here's the
now,
thing.
Now, if you're on the news, you think it looks great.
Right.
I mean, if you're a news anchor, we'll hear from a few of them today if we can get these sound clips to work, but they just talk about like it's not a big deal.
Right.
While you're seeing in the background fires.
Well, the difference
calamity.
is, of course, that because of Elon Musk, we have X. So we can see what citizens are posting. And no longer are we trapped in the legacy medias.
Well, that's true. But even if you look at the news reports themselves, while the anchors are saying that things are fine, you can see the fires. You can see the brick throwing and rock throwing.
Not just brick and rock throwing, but they're actually standing on overpasses, dropping them on cars, which can kill you. So that's a very serious thing.
I saw a post on X right before we left for the studio. I didn't even have a chance to show it to you, where somebody was shooting at the cops.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, and you can see how we also have a summer of love. You can see how these things can escalate. And here's how a false flag would happen. Let's say there's a crowd gathered at one of these, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but there's protests planned all over the country this weekend on June 14th. Flag Day. Not Mexican Flag Day, although looking at California, it appears that they are under the Mexican flag. And they chant things like stolen land. I don't know what the chant is, but it's about how it's stolen land and it's theirs. Anyway, Flag Day, Saturday, there's a group called No Kings, which is being repeated throughout the media like they always do, kind of like Biden is fine. And if you had a video of Biden tripping and falling up the stairs, Biden's not in decline. That's a cheap fake. So I guess the flag burning, the cars being hit by rocks, the people being stopped on the interstate are all cheap fakes. But anyway, the way a false flag would work is, let's say there's a big rally at some place on Saturday, June 14th, Flag Day. A bad actor who wanted this to escalate into a nationwide George Floyd type event could, do something very deadly. Throw some kind of a, I don't know what the word would be, some kind of a grenade or something, or have somebody shoot up the crowd or something crazy to escalate it for the side of those who are in favor of illegal immigrants staying here forever, I guess, and to get the sympathy to change to their way, because currently Americans are overwhelmingly in favor of the policies of deporting the 20 million unvetted illegal immigrants that were let into this country with the agreement of the Biden administration, at the encouragement along with, I'm sorry to say, Catholic Charities and many other NGOs.
Well, it is true that people do want that. When you ask them, if the question is, do you want to see millions deported? The answer is yes, until you see how that sausage is made. And then you might get a different answer, because then it requires a lot of force that could get ugly. I'm not suggesting that they should not deport them. I think that they should. But when push comes to shove, what are the logistics behind that? What would actually have to happen? And
What has to happen is, in normal situations, in a functioning country,
Wow.
the people who have there are 3 million who have orders to be deported already. Okay, and we can get into this in a minute about due process. But these are people who've had their little hearing, which for an illegal immigrant is very, very much less than the due process afforded an American citizen. The only time they have equal due process rights, according to the legal, and I did do some research on this to make sure I was trying to be accurate, the only time an illegal immigrant has the same due process rights as an American citizen is when they are charged with a crime in a criminal court, where they have all of the due process rights to remain silent, not to incriminate themselves, etc. Not so in immigration, which is a civil matter, and which immigration courts created by the executive branch of the government, meaning the president branch, is in charge. So if you're stopped at the border, you get nothing. They can turn you right around. There's no hearing because you walked up to the border. And the same is true for the first 2 years that you're in this country. You have no rights, basically, if I understand it correctly. And that is based on what I understood. And I'll post the link to one of the better interviews. A lot of the interviews, unfortunately, about due process concerned the Maryland man.
Okay, due process or otherwise, I'm talking about the logistics of getting millions, of actually physically getting millions of people.
But you
out
have
of
to have the
country.
will. It is true. It requires fortitude and will. And I
Yeah.
believe
And-
that a percentage of the people who voted to get rid of the 20 million illegals invited into this country in the last 4 years, a large percentage want them gone.
I believe that they do want them gone.
And so how do you
then-
start with the violent criminals?
correct.
And go get them, pick them up, but
It's
the,
not-
the locals
as we're
won't
seeing,
hold
it's-
them
That's what I'm saying. As we're seeing, it's not that easy.
because of uncooperative cities who
right.
are acting like
Okay,
they're-
it doesn't even matter what the because is. There's a reason that it's just going to be
I agree.
very,
It's gonna
very
be hard.
nasty. And so you're going to have a lot of people who will not feel the same way. They're not going to give you the same answer. If the question is, do you want these people deported? Of course. But you ask that question after there's been weeks and weeks of unrest in a lot of major American cities. And I'm not saying that that these people are right with their unrest.
Well,
But
are you
gonna face
saying
it.
they're wrong?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. But it's going to be there, and
It's absolutely
you will
true.
have people lose the will to use to have a big show of force.
That is a weak-minded country. If that's true, and I
don't
think
know.
you're right.
I don't think that's weak-minded. I think you start looking at, when you start seeing that, oh, you mean the deportation actually is going to require a lot of violence and innocents will be hurt and damaged and maybe killed by this. You'll see people, under that scenario, people would start to change their minds. That it's just not
Well,
as...
then I think we
'cause
should
it's
just
really
open the borders and let the whole world in. Let's do that.
No, because that's what got us into this problem.
That's
It's
why
really-
they did it, Tom.
Yeah,
That's
I know,
why
I
they
know,
did it.
of
They
course.
knew we would face this day.
Yeah, of
and that
course.
if they had won another 4 years, there'd be 40 million more.
Because it's easy to open the border. But
Easy.
it's really hard to undo
And
that. And
that's-
they knew that.
And they
Yeah, I
knew it,
fully
and we
agree.
knew it, and we were railing against it.
Yes.
And the country knew it.
And what I'm saying is, when people see how the sausage is made and that it requires violence on a large scale to undo this damage that was
I don't agree
easily
that it
done.
requires violence. I do not agree with that at all.
Well,
Unless
because we're going to have to, the Trump administration is going to have to stand up to the violence that's committed on it, as we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
Why do you think the National Guard is there? Because and this is with it just getting started, with hardly any deportations.
Yeah.
Once you get into the few thousands or 3 million, that's impossible. It's just,
20 million. Okay.
well, you mentioned 3. That's why I said
The 3 have the deportation
yes,
orders.
and just getting to that number, you're never going to get there. And people
Then
will,
it's hopeless and it's the end of the country. It's true. I mean, I think it is. I kind of do.
Well, I think you could
We
say it was
can't
the end of
afford
the
it.
country when the border was wide open for 4 years.
I agree, and
I knew all along it couldn't just be undone. Now, we should make an effort to undo it the best we can. All I was saying was, when people see what it's actually going to take, you're going to get a different answer on whether they should even do it.
And some people will stay firm. I will. I don't care what it takes.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter what we think.
Well,
It doesn't.
All right, this is Baldy and the Blonde. We'll be back after a break. You can follow us on X at Baldy Blonde. Oh, yeah. This is Baldy and the Blonde having a heated discussion about illegal immigrants.
Peaceful discussion.
Peaceful and loving. It's been very peaceful and loving, and I'm about to set a car on fire for fun.
Now, here's the thing.
To watch it burn for fun. Sorry.
We were actually in total agreement on this, you and I are.
Yes, we are, that they should be deported.
Yeah. All I was suggesting is once we see what it's going to really take, I think we're all going to be surprised. They're not just going to leave. And this is just the very, very start of it.
Actually,
let alone a million people into it.
Some people will leave. Well, because as the Mexican president chided us, she was going to mobilize her people because they need to be here to work because they're poor and they need to send their money back to Mexico. Just another reason to deport them. Because if Mexico wasn't a cartel, fentanyl-driven society, and the Mexican people used the same degree of force and emotion and passion for the saving of their country, whose flags they wave in our street while burning ours, their country would be livable. That's what's wrong. It's the same reason that Cuba is still under communist rule, because those that could fight the fight left.
Yeah.
The strong people need to be strong. And the strong people from Mexico are here in our streets destroying our society. And, I have the will to see it carried through, and I hope that Americans do.
I do spend a lot of time in Mexico, and I've met a lot of remarkable people there.
It's nothing about it's not about the remarkable people you meet in Mexico. I'm talking about
the strong ones are here, but I've met a lot of strong ones there.
Well, the people who are here are strong. They are marching belligerently in a foreign land with a foreign flag, burning our flag, demanding rights that they don't have, having jumped over the legal process.
There's a lot of strong ones who are not doing that.
Well, but there's a lot who are.
Yeah.
And that's enough. They're here illegally. They got to go.
No,
they're on welfare.
I fully agree. But how do you get them out? How do you get them out?
I think you continue in your effort to get them out. You do. And it would help if we didn't have 677 presidents at the time. Every single thing that we try to do, there's a federal judge appointed by some lefty somewhere.
And that's part of what I'm talking about. Another roadblock. How are you going to actually? It's all fun and games.
Well, I do have another answer. I
okay.
do. Honestly, I think national divorce has to be on the table for discussion. Tom Woods, who I greatly admire, talks about it regularly. He's got a book on it, and it has to be part of the discussion because if there are Americans who strongly want open borders, a welfare state, and are willing to pay billions and trillions of dollars to have their country overrun by foreign nationals who do not want to assimilate into this country, have at it, bro.
Sure, now you're singing my tune.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we need is a national divorce. But that's a different conversation. Mine was, how do you actually get these people out? I don't know the answer. I don't believe this. I don't believe it's going to happen. I believe that the administration will try.
Yeah, I think they're trying.
But as soon as they did the smallest little amount, boom, L.A. It hasn't blown up yet, but we're working toward it.
Well, I kind of liked your idea when we were talking earlier. Just let them burn the city down.
Well, that's one strategy. Is he could just turn around and turn a blind eye to it and let them figure it out.
But that's what he did do that in Minnesota for the George Floyd riots.
I would be
and the
tempted
poor
to do
people who are Minnesota hardworking, poor people with businesses have never been able to recover from that.
Yeah,
but don't worry, Tim Waltz and his wife love the smell of burning tires in the morning.
That's what
They literally said they opened the window so they could smell the burning tires, and the poor people who lost their businesses,
they don't care about them.
They don't care. They never do because the leftists running the left operations are communist, They're funded by leftist communist organizations. Karen Bass,
Well, actually,
the mayor
what-
of Los Angeles, let the Heights burn. The Heights. What's the name of them? That she let the city burn, and she spoke with great sadness upon the death of her hero. You know who he was? Know who he is?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, Fidelito Castro.
Now, this
She's
thing
a
in LA, though,
communist.
this is funded. These rights in LA, you're going to hear it.
34 million.
They're funded by California state taxpayers,
Yeah. Well,
not
they've
from some NGO or something.
Yeah, this-
Anyway, we have some great clips. We should probably
play them. Yeah. Let's go.
So let's see. What's the first one we got here? The first one is this is a Fox reporter in Los Angeles from KTTV in LA. So what's interesting at the start of the clip, it's a reporter out on the street and two anchors back in the studio. They are talking about, oh, this is an organic gathering because it looks like it to them. And then they realize during the course of this, like, oh, I guess it's not. We're going to hear it in real time. That's clip number one, Kobe. Turn
We
it
have people right now, look at this, dropping off food and water. Preparations are underway for what could be a long night right now.
Interesting to see that. Christina Gonzalez was saying that this is not an organized rally like we saw earlier in the day where you have the different organizations that are backing some of these protests. This is more, she said, organic, and maybe that's what you're seeing there. I'm hoping that is...
What are those boxes?
Are those masks of some sort? Are those
Yeah,
gas
I'm trying to
masks?
see what's...
That doesn't look like food.
Yeah,
and
those
water.
are...
Looks like masks.
Yeah, no,
Gas
those are masks. Yeah, so people are prepping for some sort of altercation with police as we speak.
A very different scene. And are those hats that you wear that are more like helmets? I mean, this is...
It's ridiculous.
So it went from organic and handing out food and water to, oh, I guess it's organized and they're masked. And now it was a combination mask/helmet.
And the
specifically.
mask, I saw somebody had actually captured the box, and there was tons of boxes.
Oh, yeah.
Bionic shields.
Yes.
And they're $40 to $60 a piece.
Yes, and somebody
Somebody's
came by
paying for
with a
that.
truckload handing those out.
Yep.
So these reporters learned in real time, oh, it's not
Whoops.
organic and it's
Not
not food and
organic.
water.
It's just not a bunch of, passionate people. No. This
All
is
right.
organized and it's being costing big money.
All right, the next one is a Fox News reporter, also on the street in L.A. Both of these are from Monday.
These are local
again,
Fox guys,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
LA Fox.
Yes, and this one is also you'll hear that it's certainly not organic, and we're going to hear what they're handing out.
You kind of get to learn what the agitators look like, and I'm seeing a decent amount of them out here right now. Always dressed in black, always with face coverings, not holding any signs. A lot of people were showing up here, and they were being given earplugs, gas masks.
Earplugs, gas masks,
That's
Yamama,
normal.
a whole bunch of other
Yeah,
stuff.
it's normal.
Yeah,
and,
that's
and,
normal.
and
yeah.
in most places, and I don't know why it's not, but masks are illegal when you are doing it to conceal your identity in Louisiana, except for Mardi Gras Day.
Correct.
So right now, if Governor Newsom wanted to quell things, he could first of all, he could talk calmly to people, tell them to settle down, that, there's the process of law, and not to wear masks and hoodies.
He could do that.
Could do
but
it.
he's not.
No, he's
All
running
right.
for president.
Next clip, I think it's going to be our favorite of the day. This is ABC 7 news anchor Jory Rand. Let's hear how he describes the events in L.A.
It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation between
it
officers.
could be turned
and,
into a
demonstrators.
confrontation if
Yeah.
Trump does something. It's really just a bunch of people having fun.
Just having fun, watching cars burn.
Oh, yeah, and on the other side, now,
It's ridiculous.
I do not advocate burning cop cars. I don't.
No.
In fact, I implore you to not. However, on the other side of the break, I have a surprise for you.
Do you?
Advice on if you did want to burn a cop car, how you could do it. So stay tuned after the break.
I have to divorce myself from anything to do with
No,
whatever he's going to say
it's
as
useful.
a lawyer,
You'll-
officer of the court, and believer
true.
in law and order.
I'm just
So,
telling you, don't do it.
Yeah.
But if you do want to,
don't want to.
well, you can plug your
Yeah,
ears.
yes.
But
Thank you
stay
very
tuned
much.
for that important
Oh, boy.
information.
All right. Baldy and the Blonde coming right back after the break at Baldy Blonde on X.
Hey, New Orleans and everywhere else. Baldy and the Blonde are back. I'm Tom Coates. Michelle took off. She wanted to distance herself from this next clip, because in this next clip, because Michelle's a lawyer, she's an officer of the court, she cannot condone this. I promised right before the break, now I cautioned you, I don't recommend anybody torch a cop car. I'm just saying that if you did want to torch a cop car, here are the steps to doing that. And the authority is no less than Alan from the movie The Hangover. He's going to give you instructions on how to torch a cop car.
And how exactly are you guys going to do that?
Oh, it's easy. You just pour kerosene over a ferret, light it on both ends, put it in. They're attracted to gas lines.
What?
It's good. Yeah.
A ferret?
Yeah, or a tamed raccoon, but it's a lot of trouble. You won't tame a
Why do you,
raccoon.
what, does it matter if it's tamed or not?
Yeah, because if it's untamed, it won't take the kerosene as well.
Okay, so you heard that. You get a ferret or a tamed raccoon, kerosene,
Yeah.
light the ferret on fire,
Sure. Sounds
right?
reasonable.
Or a tamed raccoon.
Yeah. I don't recommend it.
I don't either. I'm just saying
Or
that if
endorse
you
it.
did want to do
And
that.
I think it's a dumb movie, by the way. But I know every guy I know loves that movie. Oh, dude, The Hangover. It's great.
It's
Anyway.
you're just wrong. It's
I am
hilarious.
just cranky as cranky could be about the dismal prospects of getting the. I guess, look, here's what's going to take for people to get serious about this situation with the unvetted, we don't know who they are, foreigners that are in our country. You know, we are on the precipice of World War III, according to many experts. with
Well,
this
we did do a whole show about that.
Yes, we did. I believe it was last week. But anyway, so I would guess that those large groups of Chinese, tall, military-bearing men who had their own special camp in South America on their way here and had far more money than the people who were walking through the Darien Gap. They were flown. They had all kinds of special things that, you know, obviously had a lot of money. I'm pretty sure those guys are sleeper cells. It would be a guess. And, you know, we'll see. We let a Chinese balloon fly over and scout all of our grids, and we do not have hardened grids. We're very vulnerable to what's called an electromagnetic pulse attack, which can also happen naturally from the sun. But I'm just saying, maybe people will say, gee, that wasn't a good idea to let 20 million people into the country about whom we know nothing. You, as an American, however, you're basically almost strip searched to get on a plane. These people walked into the country illegally, were put on planes, no IDs, we don't know who they are. 350,000 minor children are missing. Thank you, Joe, sniffing the hair. And, you know, whatever.
But I think that a pretty solid majority is already in your camp on that. I mean, even the Dems.
Yeah, but if they can't take it's so sad to watch these people be deported, just remember.
No, right now it's a tiny minority saying that.
No,
I
most
believe.
people are in favor of it, but I agree
Yeah.
that it is a reasonable expectation that when people really see how the sausage is made, as you said, and they see, you know, all the news is going to show is a mama crying or something like that. They're not
okay.
going to show the MS-13 guys, who is
Right.
who we're going after now.
But I didn't even mean that. I'm
Oh.
talking about the intense rioting that's just going to stay for months on end, and that you're
maybe that
always
is
going to
the
be dealing with
left's
that.
plan. Yeah, it could
and
be.
I think people will lose their will because of that. I'm not suggesting that
Like
they
give in. Basically, like
well, not so much given because
concede
again,
the point.
yeah,
We'll just let y'all stay because we
Not
can't.
so much concede the
we don't
point
like
as-
watching the fights.
they just will no longer necessarily support the efforts to get them out. If they're not even getting them out. We're just seeing riots.
Well, I don't know about that. I think
And it doesn't even matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter what we think. Whether they're going to like do what we say or what we.
No, they never
what we
do.
recommend. No, they never do. So it hardly matters if millions of us say keep up the good fight and get these people. It doesn't matter. Or they say let's stand down. It doesn't matter what we think. But
Well, we'll see, Tom. I don't have as pessimistic of a view as you.
Come on, you know they never do what we ask them to
No,
do.
they never do. This is
No.
very true. And that is the reason that, honestly, it has nothing to do with some sort of cultish love of the orange man. It's that he identified issues that people agreed with.
Yes.
Number one being, we are being invaded by foreigners who we do not know.
Yeah.
And they are jumping the line over legal immigrants.
And that's why I say I
And
think
that's why he got elected.
And I think a solid majority totally agrees with that.
And we'll see. Yeah. We'll see if we can get this thing rolling, you know. I mean, if cities and within states are allowed to resist the law, then we're back in 1860. You know, and
Well, but that's already happening. You have nullification with marijuana laws.
Yes, you did, but
right?
this is a much more. This is not a federal matter. This immigration in the borders are the province of the executive branch. They are not the province of states. I actually heard some crazy Democrats say, "Well, you people on the right like states' rights unless it's something that we want to do." But that's absurd because immigration is not a state's right. It is a federal issue.
Yeah, for the simple reason that we do have open borders between states.
Yeah, of
so
course.
if one state turns a blind eye and lets a bunch of immigrants in, then those immigrants have open borders to all the
Yeah.
other states. But in this case, it was the federal government that let them all in.
I don't know where we should. We have so much to talk about.
Well, we want to get the Pelosi clips in.
We do want to get Pelosi, and then I want to talk about Helena Moreno.
Well, let's play the Pelosi clips.
Yeah, let's do Pelosi because those are fun.
Yeah, they are fun. Okay, so the first one, Kobe. Yeah, that is clip number 5. This is Nancy Pelosi. I don't know when exactly, a day or two ago, something like that. 5.
On January 6th, with violence against the Constitution, against the Congress, and against the United States Capitol, we begged the President of the United States to send in the National Guard. He would not do it.
He would not.
That is incredible. I was shocked to hear that.
And he would not do it. So now let's hear what Nancy Pelosi had to say on January 6, 2021, as she was in a car being whisked away from the Capitol. Now, the source of this is a HBO documentary that her daughter made.
Yes, her daughter filmed it.
So this is clip number 6. This is Nancy Pelosi on January 6th. Go ahead, Kobe.
They thought that they had sufficient...
No, there's no question of how they have been. They don't know.
What happened?
We're going to play that again.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff that should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient...
No, there's no question of how they have been. They don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them.
Well, now.
Hey, Nance.
On January 6th, as she was being whisked away. Oh, the reason that sounded a little funny, I filtered out background noise so you could hear the voices.
I thought she sounded drunk, but anyway.
Well, no, I mean, that's why they were in a car.
My opinion.
You just didn't hear the car noise.
Yeah.
That was while the Capitol was so-called under siege.
Yes.
She's in a car being whisked away talking to her chief of staff about how she, Nancy Pelosi, accepted responsibility for there not being National Guard. Fast forward to a couple of days ago, and she's saying, we begged Donald Trump to send the National Guard, and he wouldn't do it. So,
yeah, and it's just ridiculous because there's tons of evidence now that Trump wanted the National Guard there, and they refused. Bowser refused, the mayor of D.C. Nancy refused through her Capitol Police chief, who verified that Trump was offering 10,000 troops minimum. He was willing to do whatever because, and of course I think because there was provocateurs present, and people should always be aware, no matter what side of the fence you're on, that provocateurs are around trying to cause trouble for their political advantage. So anyway.
Well, we heard from Nancy's own mouth.
Right out Nancy's mouth, Dawn.
She took responsibility.
She certainly did.
Whatever Trump was doing, she owned it that day.
Yes, because she was in charge of security through the Capitol Police. I mean, yeah.
Yep, and they didn't
She's
have
a mess.
enough. And
I mean, I have to say, if you're 89, 90, 110, whatever she is, good Lord, lady, you're about to face your maker. Get it together and quit being a big freaking liar. I mean, it's just really pathetic.
Will you ever come around?
And just once again, I'd like to say that, honestly, a lot of people on the left are very smooth operators, and they're good at it.
Oh, yeah.
Look at Gavin Newsom, look at Barack Obama, look at Nancy Pelosi. These are formidable opponents. Our people can't talk.
No, well, when you're in the wrong, you have to be a good seasoned liar. Think
Well,
about
that is true.
You can't do it with your true beliefs because your true beliefs are destructive, and
All right.
people won't support them. So you have to learn how to lie,
I think
and
that's
they're good at
I
it.
think it's a great point. Speaking of, no, this isn't speaking of liars. but-
Well, we're down to our last 38
yeah,
seconds.
coming back on the other side, we're going to go over Helena Moreno issued a statement on ICE deportations.
Oh, and it's a beauty.
Oh, God. And listen, anybody out there, July 11th is the last day to qualify to run for mayor. Come on, y'all. We have Moreno.
Wait.
We have a judge.
Oh, July 11th?
Yes.
Okay.
And we have Oliver Thomas. That's it right now.
Well, you could run.
No, I cannot. Well, I mean, I could.
Yes, you
I could. I'd get about 5 votes. Yeah. Right. Anyway, we'll be right back. This is Baldy and the Blonde at Baldy Blonde, baldyandtheblonde.com. Welcome back. This is Baldy and the Blonde. I am Michelle Godin, a local lawyer, here with Tom Coates every Wednesday at 4. And I have to deliver a post that I saw on the Lakeview Crime Watch Facebook group this morning. That it's a statement that Helena Moreno released on her city council site on April, I think it says 25th, 2025. Anyway, she says, recent deportations violating constitutional rights are incredibly concerning, including the deportation of American citizens. We cannot stand for the erosion of due process and people's rights.
What about the January 6th people who were
Yeah.
thrown in? Was she on their side much?
No.
Even though they didn't get due process?
No.
She
They
per-
sat in solitary confinement
she-
for misdemeanors for years.
Wasn't she clamoring for them? Wasn't she advocating strong for them? Oh, she wasn't?
And you know
Oh, I
how
thought she
she
was.
says that. Yeah, no, she did not, Tom. She didn't do
Oh.
it. And do you know of any American citizens that have been deported?
Actually, Abraham Lincoln deported one, but not since then.
Not since
He
then.
did. He deported a congressman. He really did. Look it up.
No kidding.
Yeah, he really did.
I'll be damned. All right. So then she goes on to say, I will continue to implore that federal authorities are held accountable under the law.
That never happens.
No. Did she?
What about the entire Biden administration?
Right?
That was auto penning.
I mean,
is anybody going to be held accountable?
Say anything about President Autopen? Did you say anything about the 20 million unvetted illegals let
Right.
into the country illegally by the administration?
What
Did
about
she
this-
implore the administration to stop and to follow the law?
What about the 16-year-old American citizen that Obama had killed?
Abdul al-Awlaki, no one believes us when we
well-
talk about that, but it's true. He
Right.
literally had a father and son executed with, let's talk about their due process. No charges were ever filed, no indictments, no arrest warrants, nothing.
This was
just
the son.
assassinated.
He was a 16-year-old kid born in Denver.
Yes,
But now this was overseas. I forget what country.
he was in Yemen.
He was in Yemen.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a drone strike, I think, when he was at an outdoor cafe.
With 2 of his friends, and the 3 of them were killed. Well, I actually don't know about the friends, but
think
he
it
was killed.
I think it was one other person was killed.
Okay.
And the Obama administration said, what?
Whoops.
He should get a different father.
Should have had a different father.
Yeah,
That's
no.
literally what they said.
Now, what did, what's her name?
What did Helena Moreno say about
I
that? An
almost said- I almost
execution
said
of an
Rita Moreno.
not a
Yeah.
deportation of an American, an execution.
Yes. What did she say about that? Oh,
Yeah, nothing.
Probably nothing, right?
Nothing.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
Anwar al-Awlaki.
No, that was the father.
That's
The-
right.
the
I
son
forget
was
Abdullah
Abdul Rahman.
Yeah, Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki. It's hard to say that, but
Yeah, he
look
was,
it up. It's hard to find
He was
because
actually
you know,
a good-looking, innocent 16-year-old
Yeah.
kid. Seriously.
literally,
Yeah.
Obama said should have had a different father.
Yep.
Yep, somebody in Obama's administration. Anyway, and you know, the assault on due process by him against journalists, against citizens, spying on us.
Not
Yeah.
a word.
Not a word from Helena.
Or the left.
So I am freaked out that our choices are so bad. Please, someone out there, July 11th. You have until July 11th to throw your hat in the ring. And I believe if we had some rational person who was an adult, who was interested in solving the many problems of New Orleans, which do not include jumping on the national stage, Helena, trying to get attention
Yeah,
like
right.
Mitch Landrieu. That's why he took the statues down, so he could get a job in the Democrat administration.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sorry,
Right.
Helena. And now she's suddenly a dash Mexican American, by the way. I did not even know that. But if you look her up now, that's you know,
Oh,
in
is
other
that
words, that's
right?
how she's
Yeah.
That's how she's listed. I mean,
Yeah, she's
I think it's
posturing herself.
Wikipedia. It possibly could be Wikipedia, but I'm just saying. She's just positioning herself for her future, which apparently does. If New Orleans, the last thing we need is to be involved in some ICE problem. No.
Well,
We have
exactly.
lots of problems.
Well, and that's where I was going with that, is that New Orleans has typically been immune from. We haven't seen like the rioting that we've
Right.
seen in L.A., that we saw in Minnesota. It's not a thing here. Even when those statues were coming down, you did have some gatherings and some protesters, but it was not really a big deal.
Yeah.
But there's people on the left that want to make it a big deal.
They do. They want to fight.
Everywhere.
They want blood
And
in the
that's-
streets. They're looking for their next
it's
George
hard to-
Floyd. Believe me,
It
they
is-
are.
And it's hard to believe, but I do agree with you. No, I don't mean my agreeing with you is hard to believe. It's hard to believe that what you just said is true.
I think it's.
But I do agree with you.
sadly true. That
It is
they're,
sadly true.
They're praying every day that either a National Guardman makes a mistake and accidentally kills someone or intentionally kills someone. More likely, they'll make sure that it looks like that happened, much like every other crazy assassination and/or mass shooting where we never know anything.
No, we never
The
do.
FBI seals the files. We know nothing. We know nothing about Thomas Crooks, who was on the roof trying to shoot and did shoot Trump. We know nothing.
Oh, that roof, though, that was as steep as
slope.
Mount Everest. Yeah, there's no way. I wouldn't get up on that thing. He'd break his neck.
Anyway, and Kamala chimed in with some equally inane, stupid statements. I mean, we just, in New Orleans, come on. Either Helena, grow up and stop it. And, she doesn't know, obviously, anything that is not. Deportation is constitutional, is legal. And it is in every country in the world. And in no other country could you get away with burning our flag, marching on our
Absolutely.
streets, having no ID, voting, being on welfare. And you know what? I heard somebody say it this week. It's not an original thought. But immigration is at our pleasure. We don't have to have any immigration.
Oh, exactly.
Or we could say,
Right.
you know what? We're going to recruit some millionaires or some people with great ideas, some inventors, some people that would come here and contribute greatly, as many of the illegal people do. So I'm aware of the fact there are many good people here illegally, but sorry, go home and come back legally. It's just too bad.
Well, and it's not at all controversial, and yet somehow it's become controversial to even want to kick out people who
It's
are here
because
illegally.
the left is getting their asses kicked and they need something.
I just got to
So
read.
this is their thing.
I got to read a tiny bit of
Kamala.
Kamala Harris's. Yeah,
Jeez.
just to say that.
Just to
here's
say thank you,
just a
Jesus,
couple
that
little
she
excerpts
didn't win. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
That
All right.
she said she doesn't believe any of.
No, she doesn't.
Because she
She's-
said that what Trump's done is meant to provoke chaos. Really,
Oh, God.
that's his intention, is to
Yeah,
provoke
he-
chaos.
obvious.
Says also it's calculated. His calculated agenda to spread panic and division. That's why he's doing it. Chaos.
I mean, that is
panic,
absolutely
division.
ridiculous.
But she does say that demonstrations in defense of our immigrant neighbors have been overwhelmingly peaceful. Now, that may or may not be true, but what does that mean, overwhelmingly peaceful? That if you have 100,000 demonstrators and only 5,000 are violent, that's overwhelmingly peaceful.
It is.
Only 5%. And yet they could do a lot of destruction.
They could burn the city down.
Yeah,
to,
it's just nonsense. Everything they say is nonsense.
Everything the left says.
They're
is
all about-
lies. And what are they ever for? Are they for
They're
anything?
for destruction.
Chaos, destruction, power, money, funneling through their NGOs that we pay for the chaos. We pay for this. And what they're doing is, I don't have time to get into it, but it's called the color revolution. It is what the CIA has done all over the world to other unsuspecting poor countries, and they are doing it to us now.
Well, I can tell you what they're for, because Kamala Harris just told you.
did
they
she?
are for, well, they are for
Yes.
the things that she just said.
Oh, yes.
Chaos, panic, division.
You're right.
Right? That's what, seriously. And the
I mean,
proof-
for the
just
life of
all you
me,
have to do is look and see what they do.
I mean, what are they for?
Just see what
That's
they
it.
do.
They just want to, and you listen, half of the Republicans are just, no, more than half. Most of politicians are for power and control. At least,
God, yeah.
however,
Yes.
some people that value liberty are for, economic prosperity, lower taxes, no war, free speech. But those losers are just against everything.
Well,
everything that is good,
yeah.
they're against it.
But you know what? You can't have,
And damn the Americans, all they're for is illegals. So go ahead. I'm
well,
sorry.
you can't have anything, honestly, until you have order. Now, you don't want heavy-handed order, but
Oh,
you
God,
do
no.
need order. You can't have liberty. You can't have
Can't have
peace.
anything. Chaos.
No, right. You do need order. And the left, I mean, as you said, Newsom could come out and Karen Bass could just come out and say, hey, everybody, chill. Just chill. There's ways to protest, but it's got to be peaceful. Instead, they're taking Trump to task instead of the violent protesters.
It's what they always do. Just, they're crazy. I mean, you have a federal judge who is sneaking an illegal person out to hide him from ICE. This is nuts. These people are nuts.
All right, you got to get us out
We,
of here.
however, are Baldy and the Blonde.
And we are nuts.
And we are nuts. Follow us. Go to baldyandtheblonde.com. You can listen to all of our old shows.